Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to take a look at the 9-album discography from none other than singer, guitarist Billy Squier, formerly of Piper, right? New York-based band that released two really strong albums in the 70s, and then Mr. Squier went solo after that band split up. Has released 9 albums starting in 1980 all the way through the late 90s. He's been rather quiet for quite a while, although he has released a single or a new song of recent weeks, which leads me to believe maybe he might have another album in the can coming at some point. But it's been quite a while since we've heard anything from Billy Squier. But we're going to take a look at his 9 studio albums. I'm going to rank them in the order that I like them. Kind of a tough ranking, as there's some albums that are kind of equally as good, some that are a couple that are at the bottom I had a tough time with. I think for me it was toughest to do the bottom 2 and the top 2. That's where I kind of had the most issues with. He's played with some really good musicians over the years. He had a kind of a core band for quite a while that feature on most of these albums, though it's changed a little bit, morphed a little bit here. I'll probably throughout the albums here I'll probably talk about some of them, but yeah, overall pretty decent catalog. Like I said, some really good albums, some not quite as good, some kind of spotty, but there's plenty of great songs located throughout this particular catalog. Let's start with I'm gonna go with number 9. Again, I had a hard time with number 8 and number 9. My number 8's the only one that I don't have a hard copy of, but I'm going to go with number 9. I'm going to go with 1993's Tell the Truth, right? His 8th album. So again, you think 1993, if you follow Billy Squier at all throughout the 80s, you think 93, yeah, this kind of music probably not setting the world on fire anymore, right? Because this album came out right at the onset. You know, grunge has already been around for a little bit. You got alternative rock, you got dance pop, you got hip hop, you got rap. You know, this kind of melodic hard rock just not really doing it for a lot of people anymore, right? And as saying that, this did not chart, did not certify, right? Most of a handful of his albums actually did very well for himself, but not this one. And you know, when you listen to this album, it's kind of not hard to figure out why. There's a good amount of pedestrian rock on here. Nothing really terrible at all. Some good tracks, though. You got Angry, was released as a single. Didn't really do all that much. It was his last single, I believe, that they released for Billy Squier. It's a shame, though, because it's actually a really good hard rockin' song, easily the best song on here. And it actually kicks off the album as well. It's called Angry. Really, really good. Otherwise, you've got Rhythm, a bridge so far. That's a decent rocker. It's got a cool synthesizer solo in it. You get Hercules, which rocks really hard. Another one of the better tracks on here. You get The Girl's All Right, kind of a snarling, raunchy track. Lots of guitars, lots of groove. That's another good one. I also like Shock Straight, which is has big power chords, big memorable chorus. Yeah, the rest of it, though, there's like 12 tracks on here. The rest of it kind of bland and unmemorable. Again, not terrible. Some may rank this a little bit higher. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad album. It's just not, when you look at a lot of the other albums, it's just doesn't quite stack up, right? So that's going to be number 9 for me. Number 8 also. So this is Happy Blue. I don't have a copy of this one. Happy Blue from 1998. This is his 9th album, most recent to date. Again, 98, long time ago, right? It's an all acoustic album of Billy just doing like original acoustic blues numbers. Just him, his voice, and his guitar. As you know, for those of you who follow me, that's really not my thing. However, this is really well done, and I'm surprised how well he pulled this off. I guess if you like kind of like traditional like acoustic blues music, you know, going way, way back, you might really like this. You know, Happy Blues, She Will, Grasping for Oblivion, Long Way to Fall, enjoyable. You know, they really show how good of a guitar player he is. You know, he's doing acoustic slide, and it's really well done. His voice still sounds great, but it is his lowest selling album, and no singles were released from this at all. So, yeah, I can appreciate some of the stuff on here, this wouldn't be an album that I never bought it back in the day, and now it's out of print, really hard to get. I wouldn't even consider adding it to my collection because it's like, again, it's not something I would reach for when I want to listen to Billy Squier, but I do recognize that it's actually pretty good. So I would say if you like that kind of like acoustic blues singer-songwriter type of thing, just, a guy and a guitar and his voice, I think you might dig this. It's very bluesy. Okay, he sings great on it, so I would say go check out Happy Blue from 1998. All right, on to number 7. I'm going to go with 1991's Creatures of Habit. This is Billy's 7th album. This one made it to number 117 on the Billboard charts. Billy at this point in time mainly using his normal band plus a whole bunch of other musicians. So you got, I believe Jeff Golub is on here, and Bobby Queen. Jeff Golub on guitars, Bobby Cuisinart on drums, Mark Clark on bass, Alan St. John on keyboards, Kenny Aronson's on here, a bunch of other people. But that made up for the most part, that was pretty much the rock solid Billy Squier band for a while, for most of the 80s going into the 90s. There's a cool picture of Billy right there. But pretty good album. Starts off with, you got Young at Heart, good high energy rocker. She Goes Down, it's got a little bit more guitar firepower in it. Big arena rock chorus. This album was kind of full of that. 1991, you can kind of picture that. You got another big chorus on the vibrant Hollywood. Hollywood's a really good song. I'm not sure why this wasn't released as a single. Really good track, really memorable. You got the moody rocker Conscience Points. Yeah, you got some kind of generic-y stuff on here. Like Nerves on Ice is pretty good, but again, it just kind of sounds like something you've heard before. Hands of Seduction's kind of gritty. It rocks. Facts of Life, another catchy one that I'm surprised wasn't released as a single. There's as Billy's popularity started to decline a little bit, you had some of these later albums that actually did have some very hooky, catchy songs that, maybe in a different climate, in this case, 1991, if this was 1987, 88, they might have released some of this stuff as singles. But, Facts of Life, really good song. Love, 4-letter word, kind of cliche ridden, but still kind of catchy and fun. The rest of the album doesn't do a hell of a lot for me, but it's still, overall, it's a pretty decent album for one of his latter era albums. So, Creatures of Habit, 7th album from 1991, falls in at number 7. Moving on to number 6, we're going to go with Enough Is Enough, 5th album, 1986. Peter Collins producing this one. This one made it to number 61 on the Billboard charts. It's just a terrible album cover. Billy's just not looking good there. I think that would have been better to put a shot of him with his guitar on the front. I don't know. I just never understood that. But like I said, made it to number 61 on the Billboard charts here in the States. Did not certify, though. I think this sold like 300,000 copies or something, so not quite gold. But a good rock album, maybe lacking in that big hit single, which, the last 3 albums before it, I think, all really had lots of those singles. There's nothing on here really screams like monster song, but still pretty enjoyable. Lots of different musicians playing on this one. So it's kind of less of a Billy Squier band type of an album. So, but most of those guys do appear on here. Got Shot of Love and Love Is the Hero. Both vibrant melodic hard rockers to kind of jumpstart the album. Lady with a Tenor Sax, that kind of sucks. All We Have to Give, kind of a limp ballad. Don't really like that one too much. Come Home, though, rocks really hard. It's one of my favorites on here. I think I always thought that like Billy Squier sounded like, his voice sounded like a cross between Dave Meniketti from Y&T with a touch of Sammy Hagar. Go listen to them back to back, and like especially Dave Meniketti. I think Meniketti and Billy have their inflection is very similar. So when I hear them both, I'm kind of like, wow, they kind of really sound like each other. You got Break the Silence on here, which is more of like a mid-paced, moody rocker, but it's got some cool metallic guitars, lots of vibrant synths, works really well. Powerhouse, though, is the big, rousing, heavy number on the album. Big, huge guitars, snarling Billy Squier vocal. Really good track. Love Powerhouse. Then you got the moody, lonely one. Lots of vocals. I think Billy learned a lot working with the producer Mac early on in his career, who produced Queen as well. I think he really learned well how to layer vocals, I think, and he continued to utilize that throughout his career, regardless of who was producing him. So that's a good one. What else? Some good riffs on Lonely One, too. It's a really good track. You got The Mellow Till It's Over. that doesn't do a lot for me. But the closer, Wink of an Eye, is a wild rocker with plenty of slashing guitars all over the place. One of my favorites on the album. Overall, I think this is a really solid record. You know, a couple of weak tracks, but overall, pretty damn strong. Well worth your time if you haven't checked this one out. Enough is Enough from 1986, his fifth album. All right, we're going to move on to number 5. We're going to go to 1989's his sixth album, Here and Now. All right, produced by Godfrey Diamond, Billy, and Jason Corsaro. So 3 of them producing this album. This one made it to number 64 on the Billboard charts, but did not certify. Again, it sold a couple 100,000 copies, not quite gold. But still, some pretty strong songwriting, I think, on this album. You got to Rock Out, Punch Somebody, big arena hard rocker. Reminds me a lot of Def Leppard. In fact, there's a good amount of stuff on this album that has that kind of Def Leppard feel. You know, with the big, huge choruses, the gang choruses, and the big arena rock production, the riffs and use of synths and all that kind of stuff. Not bad, though. You got the nice rocker, Don't Say You Love Me. That was kind of like a minor hit. That's a really good song. I like that one quite a bit. Stronger. Great, catchy pop rocker that I'm surprised wasn't released as a single. And I think he even had some help writing that one from Desmond Child, I believe, co-wrote that particular song. That's a good one. I'm shocked that Stronger wasn't released as a single, and that should have been a big hit. That really, really good song. You got the big, rousing, energetic Tied Up. Got some great cowbell. Love some cowbell. I Put a Spell on You. It's one of the heavier songs here. It's one of my favorites on the album. It's got lots of great guitar work on it. Here you got John McCurry, which is who replaced Jeff Golub for this album. He does a really good job. There's a lot of great guitar work on that, especially on I Put a Spell on You. Really, really good stuff. You got a song called God, G-O-D, all in capitals. Also sounds like Def Leppard to my ears. You got big hooks on Mine Tonight. Mine Tonight's another good chorus on that one. You got bluesy, sleazy rock on the Work song, which I really like. That closes, second to last song on the album. That should have been the closer to kick it off, really finish it off with a bang, but instead they put Your Love Is My Life as the closer, and that's kind of limp and ballady and kind of pedestrian and kind of ends the album on a kind of really mellow note. I think this album would have worked better with the Work song finishing things up. But overall, strong stuff. Really enjoyable album. Comes in at number 5 for me. All right. The top 4 here are pretty damn strong. We're going to go with 1984's fourth album, The Signs of Life. That's this one right here. We got this great BGO collection, which puts these 2 records together. So this one was produced by Jim Steinman. Yes, that Jim Steinman from work with Meatloaf all those times, right? And this one, the only time he worked with Jim Steinman, actually. And when you listen to the album, you can totally hear like Jim Steinman production values. Got that big kind of bombastic theatricalness to it. This hit number 11 on the Billboard charts and sold over 1 million copies. This was his last platinum album. By now, it's basically the set band of Billy Squier on vocals and guitar, Jeff Golub on guitar, Bobby Cuyenard on drums, Alan St. John on keyboards, and Doug Juban on bass. He would be in the band for a couple of years, and then Mark Clark would take his spot. But All Night Long is a terrific, snarling rocker and one of my favorite Billy Squier songs ever, with killer guitar work from Jeff Golub and really great chorus. Just love the song. Really, really good. Probably my favorite song on this album, too. First album, best song. It happens. Despite all the backlash for that horrible MTV video he did, and it pretty much, I think, kind of ruined his career. Rock Me Tonight is actually a fun, catchy pop rock song. I really think Rock Me Tonight is excellent. But what were they thinking about this video, having him prancing around in this bedroom with, draping himself with scarves, and it just took away from the image of Billy Squier as this, hard rocker, playing guitar, tough vocal type of guy, and then he does this video. It just didn't make any sense in the world. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people just couldn't look past how cheesy and ridiculous the video was. It's a really good song. And really stopped even bothering with him after this album, which is a shame because, like I said, the couple albums that come after this are really, really good. But I think "Rock Me Tonight" is excellent. You got the another single released on the album called "Eye on You," killer chorus, really good song. You got the gritty blues rocker "Take a Look Behind You," which I really like. "Reach for the Sky," another good song, loaded with synths, got lots of vocals, layers of vocals, lush acoustic guitars. Probably the closest thing he ever did to prog rock. Definitely take a look at, or take a listen to "Reach for the Sky." Let me know if you hear that kind of prog rock thing going on there. Very, very good. Another good song is "Another 1984," which is a really good hard rocker. It has a killer Brian May, yes, that Brian May from Queen, guest guitar solo on it. Really good song. You got the big hooky "Fall for Love." It's kind of a softie, but I don't really mind it. You got the Stonesy rocker "Can't Get Next to You." Got a really good chorus, lots of fun. You got the high energy rocker "Hand Me Downs," which is good. You got kind of the sing along pop rocker "Sweet Release" closes the album. Overall, I think it's a really strong album. I'm sure a lot of people might have that as their favorite. "Signs of Life" from 1984 is my number 4. Number 3, we're going to go with "The Tale of the Tape" from 1980, debut album. All right, so you got this and "Don't Say No," both on this collection. This one just barely dented the Billboard Top 200 album chart. I think it came in at like 170 or 169, something like that. Produced by Eddie Offord in Woodstock, New York, not too far from where I live. And that Eddie Offord, who worked, quite a bit with Yes over the years. Here at this point in time, Billy is fresh out of Piper. Okay, starting his own thing. Right now, not quite a band album. He's got a whole bunch of different musicians on here. You got the Big Beat, fun hard rocking song with lots of lead and slide guitars, courtesy of Billy and Mr. Bruce Kulick. Yes, that Bruce Kulick, right? Amazing how many albums Bruce appeared on early in his career before he joined Kiss, right, a few years later. You got the catchy melodic rock of Callio. You got the hard rockin' and catchy "Rich Kid," which is a terrific song with a great vocal, big metallic riffing. "Rich Kid" is another song that I think had more people known who the hell Billy Squier was. I think that could have been a big hit, and they probably should have released that as a single maybe after "Don't Say No" broke big to kind of get people back into the older or the first album of Billy's and get that kind of rediscovered. I think "Rich Kid" is just absolutely terrific. And it has a really cool synth solo and synth work from David Sanchez. David Sanchez, of course, great jazz fusion keyboard player, guitar player, also part of the early lineup of the E Street Band with Bruce Springsteen. You got the big memorable "Like I'm Loving You," good solid early power ballad, right? Remember 1980, power ballads, not really big yet, but this is a great example of one. You got the big stomping melodic rocker "Who Knows What Love Can Do." It's another song with a really great chorus. You got the killer groove-laden hard rocker "You Should Be High Love." That, again, another one that probably could have been a single. Really, really good, memorable song. Then you have "Who Is Your Boyfriend?" Great hook, catchy kind of punky rocker. Another really good, memorable song from this album. There are a handful of tracks that I think had anybody given a shit or known who the hell Billy Squier was at the time, would have been all over this stuff. So again, I always wondered why this album, after the big success of "Don't Say No," people didn't kind of go back to the first album and kind of like what happened with, like here in the States anyway, Back in Black comes out and sells like a gazillion albums for AC/DC, and then that really helped push a lot of the back catalog here in this country. I'm surprised "Don't Say No" did have people going back to Tale of the Tape to rediscover all the great stuff on this album, because there's really, really good stuff on here. You got the "Music's All Right," which has all those trademark Billy Squier harmonies all over it. You get the dark rocker "Young Girls," which finishes up the album. It's a really good album, excellent debut. I would highly recommend the Tale of the Tape if you have not heard this already. Okay, so that's number 3. All right, my top 2, I went back and forth. I flip-flopped them over and over and over again, and finally I said, you know what, I'm going to kind of go with exactly how I'm feeling right now. And right now, today, I'm going to go with "Don't Say No," his second album, 1981, as my number 2. Produced by Reinhold Mack, otherwise just known as Mack, worked with Queen. It's his biggest seller. Made it to number 5 on the Billboard chart. 3 times platinum here in the States. Multiple singles released from this album. Some great ones on here. In the Dark is one of my favorite songs from him. Love the searing guitar riffs on that. Just excellent lead guitar. Love the chorus. Crazy, crazy good song. Probably his most well-known song is The Stroke, or at least early on anyway. The Stroke is excellent. So much fun. I've sung that in karaoke bars quite a few times in my life, I will say. My Kind of Lover is another fun, catchy hard rocker. Another one, arguably my favorite song on the album. That or In the Dark, both are just absolutely great. You got the Fast and Frantic Rocker, You Know What I Like, is one of the great deep cuts on this album. You got the jangly 2 Days Gone. I love the guitar licks of the engaging and catchy Lonely Is the Night. It's another really good single from this album. Got Bobby's big heavy drums on the raging hard rocker What Do You Want From Me, which has some scorching slide guitars from a guy named Carrie Sharaf, who never heard of him before or after, right? And for me, though, the reason probably why this album is not number one for me, I think it loses a bit of steam towards the end. I'm not big on the ballad Nobody Knows. I'm not big of I Need You. And then the title track is kind of an upbeat kind of boogie song. It's not terrible, but it's not great. I don't really love it, don't hate it. So for me, the last 3 tracks kind of knock the rest of the album down a little bit, because the rest of the album is absolutely terrific. Like I said, all those songs leading up to the last 3 are really, really strong. What's really good is really, really good on here. 3 skippable tracks, but otherwise Don't Say No. There's a reason why it sold so many copies. Really, really good stuff on there. And my number 1, obviously you probably figured it out if you're a fan. Let's go with Emotions in Motion from 1982, his 3rd album. All right, also produced by his 2nd and last album, produced by Mac. 2 times platinum here in the States, multiple hit singles. You got Kevin Osborne and Jeff Golub joining on guitars for this album. So we actually got 3 guitarists on this album. You got Alan St. John on keyboards, Bobby Cuyenard on drums, and Doug Luban on bass. So, Kevin leaves shortly thereafter, but there you have the basis of the Billy Squier band for a number of years. You got the great opener, Everybody Wants You. Great, groovy hard rock. The title track is another monster of a hard rock gem. With tons of groove, great chorus, some big fat guitar playing on there. You got the emotional melodic rock of Learn How to Live, which is one of my sleeper songs on this album. Killer chorus, great guitar work. Really, really love Learn How to Live. Excellent, excellent song. I'm not a big fan of In Your Eyes, but it's got a nice vocal melody. You got the quirky boogie rock of Keep Me Satisfied. That's okay. Then the big riff heavy, It Keeps You Rockin', which is another hidden gem on this album. Another great, great deep track. If you haven't heard It Keeps You Rockin', check it out. One Good Woman, another high energy melodic rocker. Got a cool sax solo on it too as well, right? Why not? You got the jangly and catchy She's a Runner, another song with a big, big, huge hook. I love the heavy Catch-22, another one of my favorite tracks on here, another sleeper deep track on here. Loads of cranking guitars. Great, gritty Billy Squier vocal on that one. And then you got the closer, Listen to Your Heartbeat, another strong track, great rocker, memorable chorus. Excellent album for me. I mean, you really can't go wrong. Like I said, if you're new to Billy Squier, I would say start off with these 4 without question. All 4 of these are really, really strong. Plenty of good stuff on Here and Now. Enough is Enough is good. There's lots of good material on the albums that come after this, but for me, mandatory Billy Squier are those first 4 albums. So there you have it. Number 1, Emotions in Motion. Number 2, Don't Say No. Number 3, The Tale of the Tape. Number 4, Signs of Life. Number 5, Here and Now. Number 6, Enough is Enough. Number 7, Creatures of Habit. Number 8, Happy Blue. And number 9, Tell the Truth. That is my ranking of Billy Squier. You know the drill, everybody. Now that I've told you how I rank them, let us know how you would rank these albums, whether you want to do all 9, your top 5, whatever you want to do in the comments below. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. We all hear these albums differently, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of your rankings are way different than mine, although I think some of the ones at the top of my list will also be at the top of your list, just maybe flip-flopped a little bit, and that's okay, because there's some really good, strong stuff here. This is one of those guys I always liked. I always thought Billy Squier was always really good, and when you hear stuff on the radio still, not that I listen to the radio much at all, but when you do, it's like, cool, Billy Squier, So it's a good artist with which it's just a shame how his career turned out, right? That he's gone like all this time without really making any new music, and how people, reacted to that video, and just his career was just never the same after that. But I was reading somewhere today that there's some like very popular rock documentary that talks about like the MTV years, and there's a whole section that talks specifically about that one song, right? Rock Me Tonight, and it's just and how it just was kind of like a career killer and took so much ridicule, and like I would have to wonder, it's like, how much of that was Billy's idea, and could we just have shifted all the blame on the producer or director of that video, because I think that's the person who needed to have been called out on the carpet, right? But yeah, just a ridiculous video, but still a great song, I think. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts, and please do hit the like button before you leave. We also have the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations down below, as well as our merch page. So go check that out, and thank you in advance, and please hit that like button before you leave. So stay tuned for another Ranking the Albums coming up next Sunday. Not quite sure what that's going to be yet. Got a whole bunch of things I'm working on, that just so you know what's kind of in the pipeline for the next like weeks and months. I'm going to be doing a Pendragon album ranking. Going to be doing Blondie at some point. Might even do the Pretenders. We've got also probably going to do Planet X, right? I'll be asking for some help from George Lemie and Eric Porter, my two good friends from 4 Fusion Friday, as well as In the Prog Seat. And there's a whole bunch of other things that are on my list. Rich Catino and I have been talking about doing Children of Bodom, as well as Dimmu Borgir, so that's coming. I'll also be doing some extreme metal stuff, so you'll probably get ranking the albums of Dark Tranquillity and At the Gates, and like maybe some Carcass and a bunch of that stuff. And I have a whole list of things that I'm going to be working on. The great horn band Chase. That's something else that's on the not too distant future, and yeah, lots of other stuff. One of these days I'll probably just post you guys a list of all the things that I'm going to be working on in the upcoming months for ranking the albums. There's a ton of stuff covering all sorts of different genres, so stay tuned for all that and more here on the channel, and I am Pete Pardo. We'll see you real soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.